Okay, so good day to everyone. This is our next topic for our data structures and algorithm course that we did discuss previously. The creating your own class using Java, which is basically a data structures technique, um, which is considered also a data structures technique. Okay, so we'll be dealing with one abstract data type, which is ArrayList, or it is a array-based list in data structures. And this is our topic for today. So our objectives of this lesson is to basically understand and explain the concepts of array-based list, um, write a program using an array-based list. Okay, and to understand the different methods of an array list. So we do know in our programming 2 course that an array is a container of object. So it holds a fixed number of values of a single type. So you cannot change the length of an array in Java. And the length of an array, as I said, is already established when the array is created. So as I have said, when you create an array, the length of the array is fixed. So this is an example of an array just to give a review on our previous class. So array is a contiguous block of memory wherein it can store similar values or similar type of values. So and its length is fixed. So every contiguous block is represented by the address which we call as indexed. And the index the starting index is always 0 and up to the length minus 1 index. Example, if there are 10 contiguous block of memory, so the first index is 0 and the last index is 9. And each contiguous block of memory can contain elements. These are values of the same data types which you can store on the array. So this is another example of an array wherein it has values or elements, and each element is represented by an index. So we will proceed now with an abstract data type in data structures, and it is used also in Java. This is called ArrayList. So by definition, ArrayList is a class in the standard Java libraries which can hold any type of objects. That means at the first element, it can store a character. The second element, it can be a double. The third element, it could be a string, etc. So that is the first difference of ArrayList and array. So ArrayList is an object that can grow and shrink while your program is running. So it is different in array because, as we have discussed in the previous slide, the length of an array is already fixed upon creation. But in ArrayList, it can grow and shrink. That means when you add an element beyond the length of an array list, it can still be added in the list, and the length will be added also. Okay, if the current length of the array list is 10, and when you add an element in the array list, one element, so it will grow into 11. So in general, ArrayList serves the same purpose as an array. So the same purpose wherein it can store multiple values or multiple elements. Except that an ArrayList can change the length while the program is running. And also it can we can add different types or different elements with different data types. The class ArrayList is implemented using an array as a private instance variable. So when this hidden array is full, so pag full na yung array, yung sa loob ng array list, a new larger hidden array will be created. And the data in the previous array will be transferred to this new array. So that's how it will grow or it will shrink. So it will create a new larger hidden array or a smaller hidden array, and the data from the previous array will be copied to the new array. In order to make use of the ArrayList class, it must first be imported. So this is how you import the ArrayList. So it is under the util library. So import java.util.arraylist, or you can just import everything, but that is a waste of space. Okay, so just import what is needed. An ArrayList is created and named in the same way as any object of any class. So since ArrayList is still a class, it's an abstract data type class. So when you create an ArrayList, it's the same with creating a new object of a class, which we have discussed on our previous lesson, which is creating your own class and instantiating new objects from a class. So that this is how you write ArrayList. The base type is basically optional, but you can include int, integer, double, whatsoever. But in our example, let's be flexible on the different data types, so that can be omitted, the base type. So ArrayList, and then the name of the object, in this case is AList, equals to new, which is the instantiation keyword, and then ArrayList, and then open close parenthesis, semicolon. An initial capacity can be specified when creating an ArrayList as well. So pwede walang capacity, pwede siyang merong initial capacity, but take note that ArrayList can grow and it can also shrink. So this is an example you can read if you want to. Okay, when you add elements to an array list, we simply just invoke the add method. Invoke lang natin at the end of the name of the object name of the list. So example, the name of our array list is list. So you just write list dot add, and then enclose in the parentheses the element that you want to add. In this case, the something the something string the something string will be added. So the method name add is overloaded. So there's also two argument version that allows an item to be added at any currently used index position or at the first unused position. So the size method is used to find out how many indices already have elements. So you just invoke the size if you want to know how many elements, the current number of elements in the array. And we do have the set method. So the set method will basically replace an existing element. And the get method is used to access the value of an existing element. So example, list.set index. So the index is the number of the index of the block or the element that you want to replace. Example, the index there is 0. So whatever inside the index 0 will be replaced on our second parameter. So our second parameter is something else. And then let string thing equals to list.get index. So list.get will basically access what is the element of the specified index. So the size is not a capacity. Size is the number of elements currently stored in the array list. So ano siya? Dili siya capacity. So it's only the current number of elements in the array. So this is an example of a ArrayList code program. Okay, assuming that we do have already import statement here, and then the package statement, and then the class declaration, and this is the code. So basically, pwede ba mag-point? Yeah. So public static void main, ArrayList, integer, myIn. So the base type is integer, but sorry, but you can add other types of value or elements in the array. In this case, let's just add integer. But it doesn't mean that when we put integer in the base type, it can only accept integer. So it can also accept other data type, values of different data types. So this is how, as we have discussed in our example earlier, this is how you declare and instantiate, and then we do have an initial capacity of 25. Okay, so at first we have invoked the size. So when we do have an initial capacity, it doesn't mean that the length or the size of the array list is 25 already. But in this case, there is no value or element in this part of the code. And so when we invoke that size, it has printed 0 because there are no elements yet. And then we have created here a for loop. So the code of the for loop is just one statement, 3 times k. It's just multiplying the value of k with 3. So don't be confused because we did not put a curly brace. So it just means that the only statement of the for loop here is this myIns.add. So as I mentioned earlier, that we can only add elements using the .add. But there are also other methods wherein you can add elements on a specific position, etc., which we'll discuss later. So it will loop 10 times and just add elements multiplying k with 3. So 3 times k, 0, 1 times 3, 3, 2 times 3, 6, etc. So it will be added in our array. So I'll make a doodle here. I don't know if I can create. Okay. I'm really sorry for my lines, but that's all you get. Okay, 0, 1, 2. So dyan lang muna. So the first element, my ins.add 3 times k. So it is added in the first, so it's 0 basically, and then it will increment k. So 1, and then 1 is lesser than 10 is true, and then 1 times 3, it will be stored in index 1, etc. Okay. So, and then until the last value, which is 9, k9. So k times 9 times 3 is 27, and it will be added in k9, which is index 9. Okay, and then we do have here myInts.set 644. If you can remember, the first parameter of set is the index number, and then the second parameter is the value that you want to replace on that index. So this is 0, 1, 2. I hate this. 2. Basta 6. Dito na lang. Imagine natin na dito ang 6. Ayan. So let's say for example 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So ang value nito is 44. Hindi. Ang original value niya is 5 times 3 is 15. Hindi, 5. Kasi 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 3 is 18 rather. So 18 ang original value niya because of the 3 times 3 times 6 na may dot add. And then we set, kasi di ba pag set, you replace the value of the given index. And you specify the value that you want to, the value that you will replace to the original value. So it will add here the value 44. I'm really sorry for my handwriting. It's really hard to write on a computer. Okay. And then at this part here, where is my mouse? Where are you? There. Okay. At this part here is system.out.println. So this is just how you print the array. Okay, that size, open close parentheses, and then it will print the current size of the array, which is 10. And then this for loop will just print the values of the array with a comma. Okay, so this is how you print a for loop. Just the same the array list, just the same with our previous example and our previous course. We're just printing the values of the array, but there is another way of printing the array list. I will show it to you when we code in NetBeans later. Okay. Yeah. So these are the methods in the class. So we do have length, and which is a variable, instance variable, and then ArrayList. However, come with a selection of powerful methods. So yung array, meron lang siyang dot length. Ang ArrayList, meron siyang mga different methods that you can use to manipulate, to access the values, etc. Okay, we do have discussed this already. And then set, we have already defined set. If you want to read more about set, so you can read. We also have discussed about get. Okay, so it will get the value of the specified index, so you can read. Remember that it will throw index out of bounds exception if the index is not in this range. So the boolean add, and then the add will add new elements. You can also add on a specific index. So you can, let's try on our coding later. And you can remove also. Okay, I do believe there, let's just try, kasi yung remove kasi on the new NetBeans na, a new JDK doesn't support the remove. So let's just try later, search ko lang kung ano yung pwede natin. Pero kung maka-remove siya, then we might that as well just disregard what I'm explaining right now. But if we cannot remove, let's just research kung ano yung pwedeng method that it can remove an element. So we do have remove range. Ito is remove the element on a specified index. We do have remove range from one index until two index. Let's say from 0 to 5, you will remove those elements. So you can do that. And then we do have a remove object element. And then we do have public void clear. It will remove all of the elements in the array list. We do have contains. It's a true or false boolean. It will return true if it contains the target, or the array list contains that specified target or the element. It will otherwise return false if it does not contain. And then we do have index of, similar with the array, that the string. Okay, so index of, it will just return the index of a specified element. If the element is not found, so it will return -1. We also have last index of, it will return true. Now it will return the index, the last index of a specified. Kasi yung index of, it will return the first occurrence of the element. The first occurrence. When we say first occurrence, kasi pwede kasi multiple occurrence dun sa array list. And then it will return the first, the index of the first occurrence of the element or the target. And then the last index of, it will return the index of the last occurrence of the target or the element. And then it will also return -1 if the target is not found. It will return, we do have S is empty. It will just return true if it is empty. That means the size is 0. Otherwise, it will return false. Size, we already have discussed and give example on size. Ensure capacity, it will just increases the capacity of the calling of the array list. You can read further. And then we do have trim to size. It will just remove those unnecessary spaces in the array list. Okay, this is just to object to character array, and then another array. You can say you can convert the array list into character array or other type array. And then clone, it will return a shallow copy of the calling array list. So warning, the clone is not an independent copy. So it's a subsequent changes to the clone may also affect to the calling object. So equals, it will return true, of course, if the object is the same with another object. That means you're comparing one array list to another array list. So if the array lists are of the same size and contains the same list of elements in the same order. So kung may kahit isang different order pero the same yung elements, it will still return false. Okay, so that ends our lecture. We'll proceed now with our coding. So simple coding lang of the array list. So I hope you will be accessing your NetBeans. And then we'll have an example, and then I'll give you a machine problem.